morning. I'm David Hahn, and I'm here on behalf of the session to provide you an update of the deliberations the session has had as it relates to the current pandemic and public health emergency. But before I do that, I do want to acknowledge that while I know some of you fairly well, and others of you quite well, for many of you, this may be the first time you have seen or heard me. So let me tell you just a little bit about myself. I began my first term on session just this past January, which may explain why I'm the one here in front of you today. I'm a surgeon right down the road here at Penn State Hershey Medical Center, and I hold faculty appointments both in Penn State's College of Medicine and College of Engineering, which means I'm a bit of a nerd. I also serve on the Board of Trustees of Penn State University and Penn State Health, which means I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment. And while these hats I wear have certainly shaped the lens through which I look, I do want to be clear that I am not speaking on behalf of any of these organizations, but rather am here as a member and elder of Derry Presbyterian Church. And my comments today will be summarized in a letter that will be mailed out and will also be electronically available in the Derry e-News. It's been over 5 months since we last gathered together for worship. And while it seems easy to reflect on what we have lost, there have been new, creative, and even sustainable ways to continue to serve our mission to proclaim God's word, share God's love, and practice God's justice. So many people have worked tirelessly to bring us Sunday live stream worship, to continue pastoral care, whether it's by phone, letters, or even on a front porch or driveway. As a congregation, we have continued our financial giving, which has allowed us to provide full salary support to our entire staff, as well as to continue to support our mission partners locally and internationally. We have become Zoom competent, using technology to bring us together from our living rooms, our offices, and even our car, assuming, of course, someone else is driving. And many of you used this technology to answer a short survey earlier this month. The results have helped the session better understand what Derry members are thinking and serve as a baseline as we move forward. And so what is happening as we move forward? Earlier this week, session unanimously agreed to continue Sunday morning live stream worship and to limit in-person gatherings on the church campus through September. For these in-person gatherings, we will continue to follow CDC and state guidelines, requiring masks and social distancing, as well as limiting the size of these gatherings. There are more details in the letter with regards to these small gatherings, including our outdoor worship services, as well as funeral services. There is one topic, however, that bears further explanation. As many of you know, Derry Discovery Days Preschool has postponed its opening until September 21st for the 4-year-old class and until October 5th for the 3-year-old class. At this time, session has decided to continue with this reopening plan with the clear understanding that this decision can be reversed at any time, including at the September 16th session meeting. This decision was driven by several discussions that have occurred over these past 5 months. First, while the decision to either close or reopen is difficult, what we've seen and learned is that the actual process of closing is more straightforward than the management of the complex and constantly moving targets associated with reopening. With that in mind, we believe that allowing Derry Discovery Days to continue with its reopening plan provides them with needed time to anticipate and plan for as many contingencies as possible. Second, we know that we will gather again for indoor, in-person worship, fellowship, and the business of the church someday. But we don't know when. But when we do, it would make the most sense to do so in a staged fashion, initially with smaller groups that are more manageable, where we can do adequate contact tracing and more easily set, maintain, and monitor safety protocols and guidelines, such as entrance and exit from the building. Finally, it is important to recognize that what we have learned from COVID is the need to tolerate ambiguity. We simply don't know what we don't know. We continue to learn more about who has COVID and who does not, about who transmits COVID and who does not, about who gets horribly ill from COVID and who does not. And until we have better answers, we have to remain flexible and nimble and be prepared to act thoughtfully and decisively as new and sometimes conflicting information arises. Some of you may appropriately question the wisdom of these decisions, and that's good. You should. Not all of these decisions have been unanimous. Discussions are robust and bring out clear and deeply held beliefs and perspectives. I've been involved in a fair share of controversial decisions, and I can tell you with confidence that these deliberations are respectful, thoughtful, and 100% aligned with our love and concern for one another and the health and well-being of our congregation and community. I encourage each of you to read the letter you will be receiving or to access it through the weekly e-news or on derrypress.org anytime on or after Thursday, August 27th. These are extraordinary times, and I am so incredibly grateful to be a part of an extraordinary group of individuals, each committed to serve in Christ's call and love. Thank you for listening and for the opportunity to share these thoughts with you.